Hey, good Thursday to you. It's time once again for RFD Illinois. I'm DeLoss Yonke. Thanks for being with us. We'll hear from Rita in just a little bit, and certainly appreciated the time I had yesterday at Western Illinois University. Went over to Macomb and participated in a couple of classes about communicating ag issues. I certainly enjoyed it. Hopefully the students did too. Talked to some folks from Fulton County, some from Knox County, one guy from Wisconsin who came down to judge at first Blackhawk and then Western. Most enjoyable time. Also visited with Dr. Mark Bernards to talk weed management as we go into planting season. We'll talk about some of the research that they've done recently over there. And also, afterwards, certainly enjoyed visiting with Chad and Tammy, the proprietors at Chubby's restaurant on the square in Macomb. And Chad is a loyal listener as well, 104.7 over in the area. So we appreciate that very much as well. I go there for the brisket tacos, but after seeing the pot roast, an open-faced pot roast sandwich there on mashed potatoes, need to make another trip back to Macomb soon to enjoy that, because that looked awfully good. Well, we have plenty to come on a Thursday RFD Illinois, and that will also include markets and a weather update. Man, those winds yesterday afternoon were sure strong, weren't they? How strong are they going to be today as part of all that system running through the upper Midwest? Stay tuned. This is RFD Illinois.
Farm Week and FarmWeekNow.com journalist Kay Shipman connects rural routes for you. For 3 decades, Kay has delivered important news. She covers everything from legislative issues to the latest in soil and water conservation. Here's a bit about her rural roots.
I love covering so many aspects of agriculture and providing readers with the facts they need to make better decisions. I also get to work with farmers and meet new people along the way.
Be it routes or roots, RFD Radio, FarmWeekNow.com, and Farm Week keep you connected.
Does the warmer weather have you itching for a weekend getaway? Take your Illinois Farm Bureau membership savings with you.
Farm Bureau members can save up to 20% at choice hotels, including favorites like Comfort Suites, Sleep Inn, Quality Inn and Suites, with even more to choose from.
Call 800-258-2847 or visit the Choice Hotels website to search all the hotels at once and to make advance reservations.
Contact your local county farm bureau for your discount code number. We're back here on RFD Illinois. I'm Rita Frazier. Midwest House and Senate lawmakers say it's time to finally fund locks modernization on the Upper Miss and Illinois rivers, first authorized back in 2007. RFD Washington correspondent Matt Kay reports.
More than a decade of waiting is long enough, complain lawmakers from Illinois, Iowa, Missouri, and Wisconsin, who've written House and Senate appropriators to get off the dime and finally fund Upper Mississippi locks modernization. Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley told Farm Reporters this week,
"It's important that the rest of the funding be provided so that we are ready to go to construction in the next several years as this project moves to the top of the Inland Waterways User Board list."
But the Army Corps of Engineers has put other waterway projects ahead of the aging locks, some 80 years old, on the Upper Miss and Illinois rivers, key for the world's largest ag exporting nation.
We must have these improvements to our water infrastructure on the Mississippi River in order to maintain our international competitiveness and to ensure the safe and efficient movement of our goods.
Nearly 3/4 of U.S. farm exports were carried on U.S. waterways in 2015, while ag exports account for about 1/4 of farm cash receipts. For the RFD Radio Network, Matt Kay on Capitol Hill.
Thanks, Matt. Speaking of the river, as farmers wait in western Illinois to start the spring planting season, they're looking at wet fields and especially focused on what happens to the north as they're still dealing with the rise in river levels and parts of the river closed to river transportation really having an impact. We talked yesterday to Terry Pope in Hancock County.
That's another issue because there is a lot of grain to be moved, but because the rivers are closed to river traffic, there's no barges, and so most of our river terminals, because we live along the Mississippi, they can't take grain because they're full. I talked to an elevator the other day that has several million bushels of storage, and they thought they could maybe take 10,000 bushels. That doesn't go very far. So, and as we look at the weather forecast, they're talking, as far as liquid, 3 to 4 inches up in Minnesota and Wisconsin, and of course that all comes down the Mississippi, and which means the river will probably be closed to river traffic another 2 or 3 weeks.
So it's a tough one.
It is. Not the first time, but, it does make it difficult because this time of year, a lot of farmers have notes that are due. They're wanting to get grain moved. The basis is wide because the elevators or processors don't want it. There's more than enough grain. And so there's multiple factors that are can be very discouraging to the farm community.
Terry Pope, Hancock County. In other state agriculture news, we have a new state fair manager for 2019, Kevin Gordon. Kevin may be the new state fair manager, but he's no stranger to the Illinois State Fairgrounds.
I came to the fair back in 2000 when Bud Ford was the manager. This has been the greatest job I've ever had, and I'm ecstatic to be back.
What's special? Why are you connected to the fair?
You know what? It's one of those things, and if I've told one person, I've told 1,000 people. Once you get out to the fairgrounds, the Department of Ag, and I've worked for 4 different agencies in my 30-year career. But there's something very, very special about the fairgrounds. It's the staff that's out here. It's this new administration is wonderful. The buildings and ground staff that make this place go. But when I left here back in 2017, the fairgrounds was basically crumbling around me. I mean, the Coliseum went down. And they condemned that. I was here when they pulled the canopy off the multi-purpose arena. I mean, we were throwing Band-Aids on top of the roofs. And now, when Director Sullivan, contacted me and asked me if I'd be interested in coming back this year, I looked at all the wonderful things that's going on out here. The Coliseum, is going to be ready for this year's fair. We're going to have new roofs on the 25 series, those 16 barns that we have over here on Central Avenue. We're going to get a roof on top of the dairy building. As for the infrastructure, I mean, we're going to, fix some more of the roads out here.
Kevin Gordon, Illinois State Fair Manager, Springfield. We look forward to working with Kevin the next few months as we are now 119 days away from the opening of the 2019 Illinois State Fair in Springfield. We'll break. DeLoss is back with more. This is RFD, Illinois.
Clean water matters to all of us. For years, farmers have been calling for clean water and clear rules because we know it's possible to have both. Now is the time to make your voice heard. Text WATERS to 52886 and support the new clean water rule proposed by the EPA and Army Corps. Don't wait. The 60-day comment period has begun, so text WATERS to 52886. Contact your local county farm bureau for more information on clean water and clear rules.
Attention corn farmers. Your corn checkoff dollars are working with the U.S. Meat Export Federation to grow red meat export volumes. Because when we're exporting beef, we're also exporting corn. The beef industry consumes 28% of all corn fed to livestock, plus additional corn in the form of DDGs, a co-product of ethanol production. Now that's what we call working an angle. Your checkoff is working corn from all angles. Because of the Illinois Corn Marketing Board, your profitability is our bottom line. A message from the Illinois Corn Checkoff.
Welcome back to RFD Illinois. I'm DeLoss Yankee. Later today, USDA National Ag Statistics will release results of the 2017 Census of Agriculture. It's taken once every 5 years, looks at land use and ownership, operator characteristics, production practices, income, expenditures, a complete count of U.S. farms and ranchers as well as the people who operate them. They count if they sell as much as $1,000 of products raised or sold or normally would have been sold during the census year. So small and large operations will be accounted for. That will be announced later today, 2017 Census of Agriculture. You can find that through National Ag Statistics Service, nas.usda.gov. Yesterday was on campus Western Illinois University, visited with Mark Bernard's Weed Science, and we talk twice a year. It seems I go over there and visit with classes. And while there, it's either planting time or harvest time. Each time it's a good time to talk about weeds. And we talked about some of the research that Dr. Bernards has been able to do on campus and at the farms near campus.
We have a nice little farm here at WIU where we get to do both research that I'm interested in and then student research projects. Last year we were curious about a report that said if you had high nitrogen levels in the soil, it may increase dicamba volatility. So we did a hoop study where we treated flats of soil with nitrogen and without nitrogen and then sprayed dicamba on both. And then stuck those flats next to sensitive soybeans underneath tents that covered 2 rows to kind of concentrate the vapor and looked at volatility. And what we found is if we added supplemental nitrogen in the form of urea ammonium nitrate to the surface, we got more volatility, or the dicamba particles drifted further from the source.
You know, how much extra leads to that sort of thing, or were you able to isolate that in 1 year's time?
So in terms of the quantity of nitrogen, we didn't look at that, but what we saw is from our point source, we had movement that was another 6 to 7 feet beyond what we did where we didn't have the supplemental nitrogen. And this ties back into when we do post applications of dicamba on soybeans, there's a restriction against using ammonium sulfate. The reason for that restriction is ammonium in ammonium sulfate increases the volatility of the dicamba molecule. And what our study just demonstrated is if you have a lot of free ammonia on your soil surface from whatever reason, that may increase dicamba volatility.
Dr. Mark Bernards at Western, who's not a big proponent of nitrogen onto soybeans anyway, he did say there was one study last year they did where they planted soybeans green. They went right into a cereal rye cover crop, and in that case, adding some nitrogen helped boost that crop. It eventually led to better yields, but he said that's more the exception than the rule in the studies that he's conducted. Also did some work last year about dicamba and using the product early and not as a rescue treatment.
My perspective is it's very easy with that system to shift back to what we did when we first had Roundup, where we come in with a shot of Roundup dicamba, a shot of Roundup dicamba, and it looks really great. Our risk is, with those later applications of dicamba, it's warmer and we're getting more off-target movement. This last summer, we looked at a study where we looked at dicamba with exclusive residuals pre in soybeans, so the Valors and the Authorities where we can apply those post. And then we looked at them with products where we could apply them as an early post-treatment, so your Flex Stars and some of those. And what we found in both cases, adding that dicamba early significantly improved our season-long water hemp control. Cocklebur is a major problem weed on our farm. It had a big impact on cocklebur. The dicamba didn't give us any benefit on giant foxtail, which we expected, and the benefit was marginal on morning glory. But I feel very strongly from that we really need to think about using that dicamba early on with products that have residual properties. I think it has some characteristic where it enhances the residual properties of those other herbicides.
One of the key phrases in there, he mentioned season-long control, which sounds a whole lot better than just, say, 4 to 6 weeks.
What we're doing is we're playing smart biology. If I'm using that dicamba up front and I'm extending that residual window by a week or two, then my crop is canopied and the crop is doing the work for me. The last thing I want to be doing is relying on that chemistry to control the weeds all year. My goal has got to be to protect the crop until it can canopy and then let the crop do the work.
Dr. Mark Bernards continuing the tradition, the long-standing tradition of weed science research and education and building the next generation of weed scientists as well. Dr. Gordon Roskamp was there for, I believe, 36 years at Western. Tomorrow at this time, we'll visit with Dr. Mark Hogue at Western. He's the coach of the national champion livestock judging team, but our subject tomorrow will be leatherneck country meats. You can buy pork that was from a hog raised at Western, and a great learning experience for students there as well. That'll be part of tomorrow's 4F's report. Some of the big news yesterday coming from Des Moines and the National Pork Producers Council. NPPC canceled the 2019 World Pork Expo as a precaution With African swine fever continuing to spread in China and other parts of Asia, World Pork Expo is always in June at the Iowa State Fairgrounds. It hosts about 20,000 visitors over 3 days. People come from all over the world. Exhibitors come from all over the world. African swine fever affects only pigs and presents no health or food safety risks. There's no vaccine to treat the swine disease. It's not in the U.S. Pork supply remains safe. David Herring, NPPC president, said the risk associated with holding the event was negligible, but they've decided to use extreme caution, he says. World Pork Expo has been going on since the 80s, almost exclusively in Des Moines. It was also called off in 2001, back when foot and mouth disease was really causing problems in Europe, and has been canceled for 2019. We'll break now for markets and weather.
With the RFD Ag Market Summary for this Thursday morning, I'm Jim Taylor. Corn slightly higher, beans higher, and wheat ending Wednesday slightly lower. May corn closing at 361 3/4, up 1 3/4. July corn up 2 1/4, 370 3/4, and September corn up 1 3/4, 379. May beans closing at 902, up 3 1/4. July beans up 3 1/2, 915 1/4. August beans up 3 1/2, 921. May wheat closing at 458, down 1 1/2. July wheat down 2 1/2, 461 1/2, and September wheat 470 1/2, down 2 1/2. May bean meal up $1, 310.10. May bean oil 29.07, up 3 cents. In current electronic overnight trading, May corn up 1/2, July corn up 1/2, September corn 379 1/2, up 1/2. May beans in the overnight up 1/2, July beans up 1/2, August beans up 1 3/4, 922 3/4. May wheat in the overnight up 2 1/2, July wheat up 2 3/4, September wheat 473 1/4, up 2 3/4. In the outside markets, June Brent crude oil 71.73, up 112 a barrel. The June gold contract down 5.80 this morning, 13.08.10. In the livestock market from Wednesday, April lean hogs 78.90, up 37 cents. May lean hogs up 52 cents, 86.97. April live cattle 125.87, down 2 pennies. June live cattle down 40 cents, 119.95. April feeders 145.17, down 97 cents. May feeder cattle down 95 cents, 149.22. Cash livestock at Greenville Livestock Auction this week. Steers 130 the top. The Illinois direct barrels and gilts trading firm on Wednesday at 46 to 56. I'm Jim Taylor for the RFD Radio Network.
Good morning, this is Dan Hicks from Freeze Notice Weather with the early morning ag weather update on the RFD Radio Network for this Thursday morning. Greatest coverage of precipitation the past 24 hours continued to be in some northern and a few central parts of the Midwest, including about the northern 1/2 to 1/3 of Illinois. From the far northern part of Illinois northward, this precipitation fell as a winter mix of precip in the form of some rain, sleet, and snow. Farther south in the Midwest, including in the southern half of Illinois, most areas have been drier the past 24 hours. There was a wide range in temperatures across the state yesterday, with highs only in the upper 30s to around 40 in some far northern locations, but warming to around 80 degrees in the far southern part of the state. Strong low pressure now over the central plains will move northeastward through the Midwest over the next 24 hours. Another warm day is expected across the southern half of Illinois, with 70s and low 80s common this afternoon, and some warmer air will push farther north into the northern part of the state, with highs eventually reaching the 50s later today. Increasing chances for some showers and thunderstorms are expected over the state this afternoon and tonight. A few of these storms could be severe. It still looks like 1/4 to 1 inch rainfall amounts will be fairly common with this system through tonight across most of Illinois, but some lighter amounts are likely in some southwestern and west central locations. Windy, cooler conditions will follow this system into the Midwest for Friday, with daytime highs dropping down into the 40s and 50s across most of the area. Dry weather is expected most of Friday into Saturday, but a new system will spread some precipitation back northeastward across the Midwest Sunday into Monday. Most of this will fall in the form of rain here in Illinois, but it's possible there could be a little bit of snow mixed in at times with the cooler temperatures across the region. 6 to 10 day rainfall should average near to above normal. I'm Dan Hicks from Freeze Notice Weather.
As you prepare for planting season, remember your neighbors. Whether you're an applicator, grower, or beekeeper, use FieldWatch to register your farm and monitor for sensitive sites around you. FieldWatch is a free, easy-to-use online mapping tool. Consulting FieldWatch is now a requirement for the over-the-top use dicamba products. Communicating with your neighbors will help you protect your farm and the environment. Don't wait. Go online to fieldwatch.com. Growing agriculture, we grow best together.
I used to say I was an Illinois Farm Bureau member because it gives us farmers a voice in Washington. Then there was a bad regulation proposed in my community. That's when I learned what my county Farm Bureau does for me right here in my own backyard. From giving scholarships to local kids to tackling township or zoning concerns, Farm Bureau starts right here. And now, that's why I say I'm a member.
Call your county Farm Bureau and rediscover your grassroots power.
All Ag.
All Illinois.
All Now.
There are a lot of smartphone apps out there, but do they have what's important to us here in Illinois? The Farm Week Now app does, and it's always at your fingertips. All Ag, all Illinois, and 24/7 where and when you need it for free. Go to your app or Play Store on your smartphone, hit search, type in Farm Week Now, that's one word, and download it today. Brought to you by Illinois Farm Bureau, where we're all about farm, family, and food.
Farm Week and Partners Magazine editor Chris Anderson connects rural routes for you. Chris shares her 4 decades of writing expertise by making sure each edition delivers the best information. Here's a bit about her rural roots.
I was raised on a farm in Champaign County growing corn, soybeans, popcorn, pumpkins, and poultry. My top priority is to inform, educate, and even entertain Farm Bureau members.
Be it routes or roots, RFD Radio, FarmWeekNow.com, and Farm Week keep you connected.
That'll do it for RFD Illinois. We always salute a community. Say hello to Bardolph, B-A-R, Bardolph, in McDonough County. So that's east of Macomb. It's about 5 miles straight west of New Philadelphia, population 250. We say hello. Sponsored by Country Financial. Your farm is your family's legacy and part of your hometown heritage. While you work sun up, sundown to get the job done, we're here protecting the things you love every step of the way. Country Financial. Learn more by visiting countrycrop.com. For Rita Frazier, for Jim Taylor, I'm DeLoss Yankee. Have a great Thursday.